And we're back. CC's back on track again. They were upset that we ate what we had last week? Zoe's.
Did they write your name on your cup?
No, they didn't even ask. I was gonna tell them Greg to see what they did.
Right, you get it right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for buying the coffee today.
Oh man.
Did you spit in this?
I did not spit in it.
Huh.
I think there's a scripture that says, "Thou shalt not mess with somebody's coffee."
I don't know. Yeah, somewhere in Leviticus. I forgot. I had our notebook, our topics from last week. Did you have something?
Yeah, I got some new ones. I
You
did.
did? Good. I don't have any. Not that I can think of.
I don't sense your dedication to the podcast, bro.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I got some new stuff, new material, bro. It's gonna change.
All right, so last time we talked about that CEO challenge or whatever, that high performer challenge. Have you thought any more about what that's going to be?
I think it's gonna be modified CEO challenge with wife, 2 kids.
So what do you want to modify it to be? I'm down for the challenge. I woke up at 4:30 this morning.
Did you?
I did, but I'm not sure that that's sustainable. But I'm down for the challenge.
Okay.
So,
I mean, I think waking up early is good.
all right. So what time are we waking up? 5?
I can do 4:30.
Okay. So, but you got to back into it because you want to get 8 hours of sleep. So 9 to 5 is 8 hours.
Oh,
So that means your lights would have to be out at 9, which I think is going to be difficult in and of itself.
sure. That's something modified. I mean, I can do 4:30, but bedtime is gonna be variable.
That doesn't work. All right, so your goal, what would your goal bedtime be? Lights out.
9:30.
Come on now, it's bedtime.
Okay, so goal, so we'll say 9 p.m. to 9:30, lights out. And wake time is,
4:30.
we'll say 4:30 to
Ish.
5 a.m. wake.
Okay.
Okay. All right, another one was they wore pretty much the same clothes
Oh,
every day.
I feel like I wear pretty much the same thing every week. Like it's like the same mix of shirts and pants.
So what they said is there's a theory that you can only make so many good decisions in a given day.
Okay.
So what they're trying to do is not waste a decision on their clothes first thing in the morning. So they already have it. They already kind of have their wardrobe laid out. So here's the modifier that I've been doing
Okay.
the last. I'm doing pretty much every day jeans and a polo.
Okay.
Now that fits for my work, but I don't really have to. All I have to do is pick which polo.
Yeah.
So I just grab the first polo off the rack.
Okay.
So, what are you gonna do?
Well,
You're gonna forget that
yeah. I mean, I can do. Yeah, that's not.
because you can't wear the same clothes every day. Could you wear the same shirt and just a different tie every day? No, y'all aren't really doing ties.
No. I mean, if I wore a white shirt or a blue shirt, but I'm wearing like this, got a little design on it, and it is interesting. I've wondered this. Would they even notice? Because I watched a show on minimalism, and the woman was challenged, you know, like, hey, I need to reduce my lifestyle. Took on the challenge and basically cleaned out her wardrobe where she had, I don't know if it was like she wore the same thing or the same 3 things, you know, 3 different outfits for a month. And she said nobody even noticed that she was wearing
The same clothes.
the same clothes.
Girls think that people are gonna notice, though.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna take it easy on the clothes decision.
Sure.
All right. What about? So one of the things was a bath every night.
I ain't doing that. I'll shower.
We're just making up our own thing. We're just gonna have to call.
Well, I don't think I mean taking a bath. I don't think they're taking a bath every.
I'm telling you, it's part of their night routine.
So you're saying?
It's part of to turn the switch off every night.
Well, I got little kids, man. So the funny thing is I'm gonna fit in a bath between 9 and 9:30. I can try. Okay, let me tell you this. I got convicted of some of the things you said. I think the cell phone application is really powerful. Like once you get home, you're putting the cell phone away. So I like that. Once I get home from work, I'm putting the cell phone in the bathroom, charging up, and just not deal with it anymore.
All right. Once a day, either at night or in morning. I think this was a morning activity. They would write down 3 things they were thankful for.
Okay,
Seems easy.
that's easy.
Okay.
And they did it. So they did, you said last week that when they woke up, they weren't turning on they weren't looking at their.
Because the phone is in the other room.
Yeah.
It's charging
Okay.
in the bathroom,
All right.
whatever. All right. They plan their day every day. The beginning, either some did it at night, because some people have a hard time at night, like going to bed with all the things that are in their mind. I don't have a problem with that. If I write the things down at night, that makes me think about them more.
Yeah.
So, but planning your day, like your game plan, is something that they had to do every day. And then what else? Top 3, time with family. So 3 things they're thankful for, 3 top things to accomplish today. Like, what are the most important 3 most important things to accomplish today? They made time for family.
Yeah. Another thing I heard on a podcast this morning, how he made family a holy moment. Like, Jesus had the Last Supper, dinner. Breaking bread with the disciples is important. And so with your family, you got to fight for that time. And man, I feel like we've gotten slack. Like it's like everybody just eats when they can eat. It's like Hannah's feeding Finley. I'm trying to get Luke to sit down. It's and I've gotten away from having dinner to be an important time together. So maybe that's gonna be my time for family. Just really focus on.
We do good at dinner. Dinner is one of our core routines.
But you're more mature and more holy.
Yeah, I'm so great and awesome.
Yes.
Make time for family. They worked out.
Okay. Every day.
They worked out every day.
Okay.
Every weekday.
Okay.
So if you want to substitute one of those weekdays for a Saturday as a modifier,
So what are you gonna say? Working out 5 times for the week.
that's a good idea. 5 different days a week.
Man, we're gonna be in some great shape next week. We're looking sharp.
So we're gonna say 5 days. All right. What else? I mean, for us, it's gonna be time in the Bible every day.
Yes.
All right. So let me recap what we got here. We've got 9 to 9:30 lights out. We've got 4:30 to 5 lights on. We've got a cell phone charging in another room, not the bedroom. I'm gonna stick with the clothes routine. You're not gonna really be able to do that. The bath thing, we're gonna take a bath or shower every night before bed. The shower is the modifier for a relaxing shower.
Okay.
That's modifier. We're gonna write down 3 things we're thankful for every day. Is this lady getting into your car? Is this your car?
About to get carjacked by a elderly lady.
Oh look, she's in a Volkswagen. Listen.
There she goes.
Tried to jack his car. That was funny. She looked around and said, "This is not my car."
What would be done if she pulled like a little baseball club out of her purse?
Smashed the window. Okay, 9 to 9:30 bedtime. 4:30 to 5 wake. Essentially the same clothes every day. Bath or shower every night. Cell phone away. 3 things that you're thankful for. We're doing that at night or in the morning.
I'll probably do it in the morning.
It's gonna be part of our routine. Plan the day. You're gonna do yours at night or morning. I do mine in the morning.
I'll probably do it in the morning.
3 top things to accomplish for the day. You're gonna do that at night or morning.
Is that part of planning the day?
It can be.
Okay.
You're gonna have to put a star next to 3 things.
Okay.
Making time with family every day. Working out at least 5 days a week. The modifiers, it can be a Saturday, it can be a Sunday. and spend time in the Bible.
And we're getting up at 4:30 in the morning, Saturday and Sunday too.
That's I don't know.
Look at
Is that what you're doing?
I would try.
That seems extreme.
How about time and Bible / journal? I think you can mix all that with journal and gratitude all in one.
Sure. All right, so we're gonna try to wake early even on weekends,
Mm-hmm.
and we're gonna go to bed at 9 o'clock on.
And this,
Freaky
yeah,
Friday
actually,
night.
you know what? It's gonna be. I'm thinking about planning out my week. We got a wedding. I'm gonna try to get up early. I don't know if I'm gonna do bedtimes every night because we got a wedding.
We'll try for the weekend.
Well, I mean, it's
That'll
it's
have
flexible.
to be our modifier.
It's got to be flexible.
Okay. Great.
And we're off.
We're on to the whatever we call this challenge, the process challenge.
Process challenge. Getting your life right challenge.
Hey, speaking of the podcast, which it may stay this title, we may change the title, who knows? But I thought of something today that was funny that we could do is, so how we kind of have this soft goal of the first 10, the first 10 episodes being kind of a landmark.
It's just throw me off.
My coffee's reflecting on the roof. I'm gonna put my lid back on.
All right. Rewind. Start over.
Hey, I was thinking about the podcast. No, so I was thinking, since we have this kind of somewhat arbitrary number, we're going to try to do 10 episodes, work, just getting things up and running and figuring things out. What if, when we get to that 10th episode, what if we bundle those things together and we just call the first 10 season 1? And then we make an agreement for what season 2 is going to look like. And maybe it's 10 episodes, maybe it's whatever. But we just call it season 1, and then we move into season 2 and move on from there.
I would like the idea that there's a committed, scheduled release once a week. It just keeps people. That'd be ideal. I mean, you can do season 1 to start, but I like the idea of
Sure, a weekly ongoing
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, me too.
because if we're going to be talking about relevant topics, I mean, if we're talking about what's going on right now. What's going on in the war right now, Charlie?
Well, like in a previous episode, we talked about
Billy
Billy
Graham.
Graham passing away.
Yeah.
We talked about
And 10 weeks later, yeah,
Donald
10
Trump Jr.
Yeah,
getting a divorce, and
yeah,
but some of the topics will
yeah.
essentially be evergreen, that you could use them for whatever.
Sure. Let's just go with season 1 and then keep recording and see what happens.
So one of the guys, he's a comedy channel, and he went away for a while. He got some kind of Netflix deal. He got a deal from Netflix to do real episodes of some comedy drama type of show, and he was gone for a long time. So then when he came back, he launched what he called season 5, and he's like launching it to himself. So he's on he's on one side of the desk as the agent, and he's on the other side of the desk as the talent. And he's having a conversation with himself. He says, "I'm going to call it season 5." And he says, "Well, what was season 4?" He said, "We're just going to call everything before this seasons 1 through 4." He said, "Well, won't people want to know? Won't people think that's odd?" He's like, "I don't think they're going to know."
I bet I got a feeling those Netflix gigs pay pretty well. Like if you get on,
I mean, it's probably competitive now.
I think actually they say that a lot of the movies are kind of losing their appeal, and more the TV type stuff or the streaming stuff is becoming more popular.
Yeah. All right, what else you got?
So I watched an interesting documentary the other night. It's called the Barkley Marathon.
Never heard of it.
So it's on Amazon Prime. So I got an email from a guy, and he just just one of the things I've subscribed to, and he talks about his 5 things for the week. And one of the things he said is there's a documentary I watched on Amazon called the Barkley Marathon, and it's about this marathon, this ultra marathon in the wilderness of Tennessee. That for 20 years it's been done, there's only been 10 people complete the race. And so essentially, it was how the guy who created it started. It was when the guy who shot Martin Luther King escaped from jail, and this jail was located in the woods, these woods, and he runs away, and there's a search for like days after days after days, and the guy only like got about 3 miles away from the jail, and so the guy was saying, man, he only did 3 miles, after being gone for 3 days. I could, in that amount of time, I could probably do 100 miles. And so he just created this race. And so essentially it's almost like a crazy hike / outdoor run. You do 100 miles and you go, so it's circles, right? So 20 miles, you're going one way, and the elevation's up 12,000 feet, coming down 12,000. Then you got to run the opposite way. Then you got to run it at night, one way and the opposite, and the other way, you can choose which way you want to go. And so in this documentary, it was just fascinating to see, one, like, all these people show up there, and it's like only maybe one will finish the race. And then towards the end, you see these people who are just willing themselves to finish the race at the end. And then when they finish, they look
ragged.
And so there's been like 1,000 people that have ran this race, and at this point, there's only 13 people that have completed it. And it's kind of quirky because the guy who puts on the race, he only charges $1.60 to.
What a weird number.
And so you can apply for it, and you don't get a letter of congratulations. You get a letter of condolences, like, I'm sorry that you qualified for this race. When you come, if you're a first time contestant, you got $1.60, and you got to bring a license plate from the state you're running from. And then they called you like a race virgin. If it's like your second time or more running, you gotta bring whatever the guy asked you to bring. It could be a flannel shirt, it could be shoes, it could be white t-shirts. This is the guy that puts on the race. He's like, I just needed some new flannel shirts. So, and then if you're a what do you call it? If you've actually completed the race and ran it again, you got to pay with a pack of cigarettes to enter the race.
A pack of cigarettes?
Well, the guy that puts it on is a smoker.
Okay, gosh.
And so every time you if somebody says I quit, they play taps. Somebody plays taps, and he calls and so all these contestants that they allow you to come in, to qualify, you got to be an elite runner. But he said there's a small group they invite that you can have no skill set, and they call them the human sacrifice. And so they come in, and the bet is, how long is this person going to last in the race? So this guy goes out there, he's gone for like 8 hours, and he only hiked like 3 miles.
I was running.
And he comes back, so it was just funny. He's like, who's the human sacrifice? And they name his name, and it shows up. It was interesting. You should watch it, because it's just like a unique thing that's being done in this world right now.
So I had a client that she ran these ultra marathon type races like that to raise awareness for autism and things like that. But they ran it in the desert.
Yeah.
And I'll have to look up to see what the name of it was, but it was, I think they were in the Mojave Desert running this ultra marathon. It was.
Did she finish?
Yeah, she finished. Yes. And she didn't look, she was just like this Southern California, like, she didn't look like an athlete.
Yeah.
She was like a former model. So she looked like just, a regular Southern California model. Like, she didn't look like some super athlete or anything. But she finished. I was working with her for a little while, and things got a little sideways on some of the stuff we were doing. We had kind of a difference of opinion on vaccines and some of her beliefs on vaccines, and it got, we were ghostwriting content for her, and in the beginning it was all fine, just health related type of content and brand strategy and things like that. But over time it became a little bit more opinionated and a little bit more conspiracy theorist around, you know, vaccines and autism, and it
So
started getting uncomfortable.
conspiracy theories meaning that the major cause for autism is the vaccines that were given.
Yeah, she believed that that vaccines caused autism, and where it got sideways was the articles started becoming more like opinion pieces rather than like I wouldn't have any problem writing content or having my team write content for a Republican point of view, a Democrat point of view, a Libertarian point of view. I mean, there's things that I'm absolutely not gonna do, you know,
Right.
things that I just find so distasteful,
Sure.
you know, like abortion. I'm not gonna write pro-abortion content, you know, regardless. But things that are just a difference of opinion, you know, the vegan lifestyle or what, you know, like those things, that's not to me an ethically.
Sure.
But what had started to happen was slowly over time, like the articles weren't hard hitting enough for her, and so she started asking us to make adjustments to the articles. And again, it's like that example of, you know, boiling a frog, you know, 1 degree at a time. Like in the beginning, it really wasn't a challenge. But over time, it built and it built and it built to where I got uncomfortable with the content that we were producing. Like it really wasn't, I didn't really feel like it was ethically sound, like the claims that she was making. It would be like somebody, it's like, have you seen those guys that go on Shark Tank and they're selling a pill or something, and one of the things is they say it'll cure cancer, and the sharks jump on it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, you know, you're out of your mind. And it started to get like that. And so it was a big contract. This was a couple years ago. It was a big contract. I mean, she was paying a lot of money for us to do all this marketing and strategy work for her. And so I had to have a team call. So I pulled the team together and I said, so it's me, Brandy, and 2 of the writers, and I think 1 of the assistants. Big team call. And I said, hey, y'all, I'm feeling like it's time to cut ties with this client, you know, and here's why. I said, but I wanted to at least open it up because I realized that this is a big contract and it impacts all of us. You know, there's 5-6 people that it's going to impact. And so then I kind of open it up to see what are they going to say, and they're all like, "Oh God, thank God, thank God." It's like, oh, we're so uncomfortable with this content, and I was like, why didn't y'all say something sooner? You know, why didn't you bring it up sooner?
Yeah.
And they were all so relieved. And again, every single one of us had hesitation about the money because it was a significant amount of money, but it was just very funny that when I said, "Hey guys, I'm starting to feel, you know, uncomfortable with this content, and I'm 90% through the decision to cut it loose, and I just wanted to give you guys an opportunity," it was unanimous. They all said cut it loose. I mean, there was worry about the money, but they all said cut it loose based on the content, and we did, and it was fine. You know, we suffered for 1 month or so, and then we picked up new clients, and it was, you know, we were fine.
So what have you done differently to have your team be more open about stuff they're uncomfortable with?
I think that was a big learning lesson, just kind of a moment that I really challenged them to not hold it. You know,
Yeah.
like, don't hold it in. If you have concerns, please, you know, raise your hand. And what I try to do, I could probably be more consistent by having I have a check-in meeting with most of the people that are kind of on my team. I'm having a check-in either once a week or every other week. And sometimes they're 10-minute check-ins and sometimes they're an hour, just depending on the nature of their work, as well as just where they're at in the life cycle of our relationship. Some of the people I've been working with longer, like we can have a 10-minute call and it'd be done. And some of the people I've been working with longer, we talk for an hour because we're, you know, shooting a breeze. But I try to ask them at the end of every call, I try to ask them, is there anything else that you wanted to talk about today? Is there anything that you need from me to be more effective in your role? Or is there some tool that you're missing, or some training, or something like that? And do you have any questions or comments or feedback for me? Is there anything that you think that I should be considering that we haven't already discussed? And I just kind of open it up, and 9 times out of 10 they say no, that there's nothing else. But occasionally they do come up with stuff, you know, and but most of the time it's no, they're good. But I try to keep that open to give them the opportunity to share any ideas that they have, because I do believe that if you can get the collective group of brains and hearts all working together, that you're going to be better off than just one sole decision maker. But and they always have good ideas, you know, that I try to implement little modifications to things on how we bid projects and types of work we do, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but we just keep trying new stuff. Yep.
Well, that's good. That's good advice. Yeah, I think a lot of employers probably have a challenge with that. Now, they have to create an environment where the employees feel like they can share without being condemned, or, you know, the owner being offended. I mean, I've worked at companies where some things were observed in the way we're doing things, and the leadership was confronted, and the individuals, the owner was offended. He was offended by something that was actually good feedback, you know. And so that's good that you have the humility, and you're not that prideful where you're willing to receive feedback and just things that make things better, because it's just going to help your company even more. Something I've been chewing on, I'd like to get your perspective. So I've observed that there's, we'll call it an assault on masculinity. You know, I think there's a lot of young people out there who don't have male role models to look up to. Their perception of a man is off track. It's misguided. You're seeing divorce rate growing by the day, and a lot of times it's the mothers raising these young boys, and you know, and that mother's probably working a couple of jobs, so she's not really around, so it's not really a strong male influence. And so, you know, I'm just thinking, okay, if I was going to describe to my son or to a young man, you know, what does a real man look like? How would I answer that? So, I mean, if I was to ask you, a beard, dang, time to go. What does a real man look like to you?
Well, I think you've got the traditional image of a man, which is like the tough guy persona.
Right.
Big, you know, hairy, muscled, brute type of barbarian character.
Grunting a lot.
I think that, you know, your warrior type of hero guy. I think that's the classic, I guess, picture of what does a man look like. But I think in modern civilization with today, I mean, I do think it comes down to, there's a biological component.
Sure.
You know, men and women are genetically different. We have different parts, you know, just a different anatomy. I think that's, so a lot of the discussion about all this, you know, gender fluidity and things like that, you know, just sounds crazy to me, because it's super straightforward. You know, there's two, but I mean, it is a challenging thing that I can't believe that the science community, that this community, this gender fluid type of community, tends to be heavy on science and not on faith or Bible or anything like that. It's heavy on science. So it is kind of hard to believe that this same group of people that are so heavy on science can also be the same people that are pumping all these, some 30 different pronouns, and people identify as a foxkin. Have you seen all that?
Well, I've heard. I mean, somebody
It's-
they self-identify as a sheep or whatever, or a robot. I mean, people.
So
that
I think what is the biblical picture of a man? I mean, like what should a man do? And
really, how would you answer? Not I mean, biblical I think is a factor to how you're going to answer it. But what would you say a real man looks like?
I think the best version that I'm trying to teach my son to be is someone who, first and foremost is in good right standing with God, is in right relationship with God, reads his Bible, is married to one woman, is loving and gentle, and is strong and firm, the steady hand, is dependable, has integrity and character, is hardworking and disciplined, on all of those things, but also, is fun and has a good time. It's the strong but gentle type of components. But I also think that it's, taking care of or looking out for the less fortunate, like people who are, the image of, like, if they're picking on that kid, if they're picking on this other kid, you stand up for the other kid.
Yeah.
Those are the types of things that I'm trying to teach him as a man. And then just as a dad in Louisiana, there's other things too, like, I want to take him hunting and fishing and those types of things. But at the same time, I don't believe that hunting and fishing is what make you a man, but I do think that those are helpful experience, camping and hiking. Those are helpful experiences to teach those character lessons and development, as well as just life experiences. That those are things I enjoy. I enjoy being outside and doing all those things, and so my hope is that my son would enjoy. I enjoy sports. My hope is that he would enjoy, watching LSU football just the same. But I don't think that those are core essentials to being a man.
Now, do you hunt? I mean, have you gone hunting? Like deer?
No, I've never killed a deer.
I know you went duck hunting.
I mean,
right?
I've seen the deer in the woods, but no. I mean, yes, duck hunting, squirrel.
So something that could be an idea for us down the road is I've never gone hunting, and almost in that like going to try.
You've never killed an animal with a gun?
No. Never done that. I'd like to. I mean, I feel like we got enough friends.
You'd like to kill an animal, you murderer.
We'd eat to eat, not for fun. I don't believe in like
For
killing
blood sport.
I don't believe like in killing the lions or the the elephants. That doesn't make any sense. But you killing deer or duck, I don't see anything wrong with that. But I've never done it, so I like to challenge myself to do it and then document it, because I think a lot of times. So to answer that question, I think you're about to ask me, what do I think? I think it's challenging yourself to grow, right? I mean, there's things that. I didn't grow up in a great home. There wasn't a male influence in my life, so I walked into young adulthood very, I would call it insecure, and feeling very inadequate about being a man, because I had no idea what it looked like. So I had this misguided perception of it was make a lot of money or become powerful, just pursue things that on the outside maybe feel strong. But as I've grown, and I really attribute this beginning with your father. I mean, I think your dad, to me, embodied a man that I wanted to be like. I mean, he was a business owner. He was involved in his community. He loved his wife very well. He loved his children very well. He mentored. He took young men like me under his wing. I think a quiet strength is not overpowering, but to be strong, to be able to deal with adversity with strength. And I think living a surrendered life to God is huge. I mean, this can be a hard world, and there's a lot of unknowns. And so I think when you walk with God closely, I think in that walk there comes wisdom, and you can so you're a man of wisdom. a man of peace. I think kindness. You're a servant. I think a man who takes responsibility for what he's responsible for. So, going to work and providing for your family, taking care of your wife and your children. I think being an example to your kids and being available. I think a man is available for the ones that he's been entrusted. His wife, his children. I think a man that's a servant. I think I said that. Man that chooses to walk with integrity. You said it earlier about being married to one woman. I mean, you and I have both faced difficulties in our marriage. There's been great seasons and hard seasons, but we've chosen to stick it out and work through it and make sure that we are called to love this woman in good times and in bad, and really strive to have a great relationship with your wife. And that requires a choice. I mean, so I really feel like the responsibility is huge. And then just I would say what I long to hear is from my son is that my dad was my hero. That as I was describing your dad, I want my son and any other kids I have to look up to me that way. I think a man not only is always continuing to grow and learn, but also he's pouring into a younger generation. I think that's really important in today's society when there's a lot of young men who don't have a man to look up to. And that could be from getting coffee and just encouraging that person to, hey, let me teach you how to cut the grass. I mean, I got a neighbor across the street from where I live, divorced. Dad's not there. Their grass is getting pretty long, and I'm like, hey, you know how to cut the grass? He's like, I don't know how to cut the grass.
How old is?
13.
Oh, okay.
So I said, well, I'll come over here. So when you're home over the week, I think he's trying to dodge me because he's always got something going on. He's like, I can't this weekend. But I think there's just something powerful. You talked about going hunting with your kid. I think doing life with a young man, with our sons, when there's no distractions, like they get full access to daddy. There's no cell phone. You're in the woods, and you're forced to engage. So that's a lot of things I can think of. There's obviously more, but I just really want to be able to not only embody that, so people look at me and would desire, hey, man, raise a guy, that I look up to, and then to be pouring into younger men. So there's your thoughts.
Yeah, we've been doing camping a lot lately.
Yeah.
And it's been going pretty well. So the thing that I've been thinking about is I don't ever want it to be like dad dragging the family to go camping.
Yeah.
Right? I want them to enjoy it. I want them to be, but it is like you said, like you get out there in the woods and it's just the family. There's no there's no TV, there's no electronics.
Yeah.
It's just the family. And so that's been going well for us, and we've seen the rabbits, and we've seen the deer, and we've seen the owls, and it creates these little opportunities that what I'm working towards is I need to be more intentional about the teaching moments, those teachable moments, about being able to, impart those manly character values into my son, but also into your daughter as well. Is that
Sure?
Because you're laying the tone of what a marriage looks like, what a good husband looks like, what a good long-term mate and partner is supposed to look and be like. So the only other thing I thought of that you mentioned something that made me think of it was self-sacrifice, that the man is the one who steps in the gap. So Jesus steps in the gap for the people, right? He sacrifices self, even if he doesn't feel like doing it or doesn't necessarily want to do it today. Like, it's not selfish, it's self-sacrifice. And you think of like that Virginia coal miner going down into the mine for his family, or heading out to work, or going to war, or all those types of things that are modern day examples, that it's the self-sacrifice for your family. It's sacrificing for others. It's not selfishness.
Now, I know I saw you in church over the weekend. Did you get to listen to the message, or?
No, we were in serving with kids' church.
Well, Mike, the message was on Jesus. I am the gatekeeper. I am the gate. And he was talking about how when he took over as the lead pastor of Healing Place, he had a lunch with brother Larry Stocksdale, and he said, Mike, you are the gatekeeper of this church. So whatever struggles whatever is going on in your life, if there's any compromise, if there's any where you're whatever you're doing things in your thought life, if there's things you're doing, you're getting lazy, you're not, all the things, those will pass down to your church. And so he said that, and he's like, man, he's like, when he described it to me, I just felt a holy terror. And he's like, but that only applies to me as the leader of this church, the pastor of this church. It applies to you as the leader of your household, and you as a man, the things you allow in your own life, the things that affect your integrity, the things that, laziness, like things you bring on will pass down to your family. And I was like, whoa, ouch, that hurt. But it's a sobering thought, but it was very convicting. Like, I feel like I live, on the outside it looks like I'm selfless, but I think on the inside I feel very selfish. Like, I do things, I'm trying to take care of me, please me, whatever.
You're not perfect.
I'm not perfect, but it was just a thought of like, it really just, it's like, man, I want to step up my game and to really be smart about how I spend my time. What do I look at? What am I reading? What am I feeding myself with? That's why I think the CEO challenge is coming at a good time, because I think there's some practice that are key. Getting up early, spending time with God, working out, putting down your cell phone when you get home from work, family time. I mean, you don't need to be a CEO. That's I think a man that walks with God, that's the things he should be doing. So
I had a friend that when his son turned, I think 12 or 13, I can't remember what it was, they had like a little ceremony, where they invited a bunch of people over, or they selectively invited some men over that knew the boy of different, that represented different age brackets, young men, middle-aged men, older men, and they all wrote a letter. I think they all said a few words, and they were to bring some token gift about the journey into manhood, that he was a boy and that now he's transitioning into manhood. And it was like this ceremony type of, I say ceremony, it was just an event that's what it was explicitly designed to do, was to put a flag or a marker on, like, that he was transitioning, that he was not yet a man, but that he was in the journey to manhood. And
I've heard that. I mean, John Eldridge is a guy that I look up to, and he's been like a spiritual father to me. He has no idea who I am, but he's definitely influenced my life. I know they do that. They do.
But you've met him a couple times.
Yeah, I've met him, but if I walked in a room, he would be like, "Oh, it's Ray Pankern. What's going on, buddy?"
He might.
He might. But they did things like that where they invited other men and they basically prayed over or spoke words over the sons. I think that's powerful, man. I think it really impacted me at 13 years old. So, what else is on your mind?
Well, then the kid had those letters.
Yeah.
So then he hung on to those letters, and so he could reference back and said, you've got these people, like his grandfather was there. You've got these people who are basically like, hey, if there's one thing that I could impart to you as a young man that I wish I had, it's this.
Yeah.
Well, he had that from like 10 people, so including his own father. So it was something I definitely filed away.
Well, I plan on doing that. One of the guys that's part of the Ransom Heart team, John Eldridge's team, his name's Bart. He was telling his story, and like basically, he lived a dangerous life for bad. Like, he was just doing all these dumb things and just getting in trouble, and you know, breaking his back. He's just being very dangerous. And so when he has one son, and when they did that thing for his son, they basically gave him. He's like, son, I feel like, you know, I've been doing dangerous for bad things, but I feel like you're gonna be dangerous for good. And he put it on a sword. Well, this son joined the military, became a Marine. He was the Marine that was basically dropping in Marines into combat situations and then picking him up in helicopters. So it's so cool to see this powerful moment of giving the son a new name, you know, dangerous for good, and the son, his destiny was to truly be that. So other stuff it's powerful, man. I think there's some things that we've kind of lost as men bestowing masculinity to our sons. I mean, it's just kind of gotten away, and here we are, a bunch of boys just lost, trying to figure out how to live life.
Do you still feel like that now, or do you recognize where you're at in the journey?
What do you mean?
Do you still second guess yourself sometimes, and do you feel still like a kid sometimes, or?
No, I don't feel that. I mean, there's moments we just, I mean, I did stupid stuff, but some of that stuff was fun, you know. And so there's moments you go, it'd be nice to go do this or that, but for the most part, no. I think parenting, you got a choice when you become a parent, especially. It's either like rise up to the challenge or just fall apart. So I feel that I've embraced that responsibility, and so I've had to give up childish ways. I've chosen to grow and improve. So now I don't feel like there's any childish ways in me. I mean, there's moments of like, I think a playful banter between you and I is always fun. But as far as like just doing childish things where I won't tell my wife where I'm going. I'll go to Vegas for the weekend with the boys. You know, like, I'm not doing stuff like that.
Right.
Or do I want to?
Right, yeah. Yeah. I mean, for me, it's really only been the last probably 3 to 5 years that mentally, I would say if you got in the time machine and went back 7, 8 years ago,
Yeah.
I still felt like a kid doing adult things that they were all going to find out, like, oh, he's just a kid.
Busted. Yeah.
He's just like that movie, the Tom Hanks Big, you know. It's like, I just, in my mind, I still like identified as a kid sometimes, you know, like thinking like, oh my goodness, I'm in over my head, you know, I'm just a kid. But having kids, I guess that has been part of the change. Having kids and other kids calling you Mr.
Yeah.
such and such.
Yeah.
Like it helps you to realize, I mean, you know, I think once you turn 18, you know, it's legal and official, but you don't really feel like that. I mean, I really didn't feel like that until in my 30s when I started feeling like, okay, I'm a grown man. I'm a grown man now.
Grown man with grown responsibilities.
Yeah. So,
Well, you know, there's just, you know, when it was just myself and my wife, I mean, it wasn't like my wife was just depending on me to live. She could, you know, she was working too. We're both self-sufficient. But when you have these little kids who are like, Daddy, I need this. I mean, you're cleaning diapers, you're feeding them. I mean, and I think a lot of that comes too. Like, I grew up where I didn't have a dad who stepped up to the plate. So one of the biggest desires I had or want to be is a father who stepped up and said, okay, I'm going to do what it takes to take care of you. So yeah, so parenting does kill those childish ways pretty quickly. So I got something else for you.
let's hear it.
So I was listening to a podcast, and it was John Eldridge gave a teaching about you gotta find God. You need God in everything. You gotta spend time with Him. And he said he had this blank stare from the audience, like, that's easy for you to say. You're John Eldridge. You know, you get to go spend time in the woods with God. You don't understand how busy we are. You don't understand how busy life is. And so he gave a following podcast saying, look, I get it. I don't live this life that you think is just
Right.
You know, it's like I actually live most of my time in front of a computer screen, but I have these micro practices that allow me to stay connected to God throughout my day. Little things that I can do, 3 minutes here, 5 minutes there, that allow me to experience God throughout my day. And he gave some suggestions and things they do, and it was encouraging. So for you, I mean, you're busy. I mean, you're running a business. You got a wife. You got 3 kids. What are some of the micro practices you do throughout your day to stay connected?
Well, what was an example of what he was doing?
So one of the things, you know, John Eldredge said was he is in front of a computer holding, you know, these produced items. He likes the outdoors. He feels like he can connect with God in the outdoors. And so what he has is he has a stick in his office. And so every once in a while I'll just close the laptop, grab the stick and just touch it, move it around, you know, and just reconnect with nature. That's how he feels like he experiences God. That's one thing they said. Another one was this guy Morgan that he was interviewing, or was with him on the podcast. He said, I'll just, you know, when I'm in something, instead of going, you know, if I have some free time, I guess I have an hour meeting and it goes for 40 minutes, I immediately want to go to, let me check my emails, let me do this and this. He goes, when I get those 20 minutes, I just allow the Father to nourish me. He said he has a little lawn chair and a little fold out chair in his truck. And if he has these secret spots that he goes to, pulls out the chair and just sits in the sun.
They're probably in Colorado.
They're in
somewhere
Colorado.
nice.
But he's maybe John said, you know, I'll go walk around the building, which
Yeah.
right now I'll do that. I mean, I'll definitely go walk outside.
All right, so I thought of some that I do. So one of them that I'll try to do is I have this Pandora Music radio station that, you know, I've got 20 different Pandora stations, but one of them is based on this, you know, so with Pandora you select a song which is like your seed song, and then they feed you other songs that are like it, and you thumbs up, thumbs down, you know, based on that thing. Okay, so I started with a seed song of this musician. His name is Fernando Ortega, and he plays this soft, you know, different types of soft hymn type music, but there's not really words a lot of times. Or if there are words, they're just kind of repetitive, and so I'll have that playing in the background sometimes during the day to help me stay connected. Another thing is, from time to time I'll come out of the office and I will just especially since the weather's been nice, I'll just come out of the office and like when I go to use the restroom, instead of just going right, you know, go to use the restroom and right back into the thing, sometimes I'll walk out into the yard or walk out down the driveway, or just get out into the sun and just kind of soak it in for a second.
Yeah.
Another one is I went fishing this weekend with my brother, and we went kayak fishing, and so it's this beautiful, you know, Louisiana scene. You know, the sun coming up, we're in the marsh, it's quiet, you know. Kayak is, there's no boat motors, no gasoline fumes, it's just silent on the water. It's just you, the water, the sun. It was pleasant. It was kind of an overcast day. It was like the threat of rain, so it was like kept the sun from cooking you. And so sometimes if I'm getting stressed out, I will kind of take a moment to close the computer for a second and like kind of calm things down. So for me, I can feel when my blood pressure is getting high, and because I start to get a headache or I start to get tense in my shoulders. And so I'll try to take a moment, and I had downloaded this app. It was called Headspace, and you could try. It was like a trial period where, you know, I had 2 weeks or something for free before you buy it, and it was a meditation app. And so meditation is something that the Buddhist and all those Eastern religion really have appropriated, but meditation is a concept that's in the Bible, just not in the way we think of it today. You know, we think of home, you know, like type of meditation. Well, this Headspace app, dude went and lived with the Buddhists or whatever, but then he built a meditation app, and he pulled all the religious stuff out of it. Right, so he pulled any of the religious, so it's just meditation for meditation's sake. But going through that little training process, learning how to quote unquote, you know, quiet yourself and meditate, I'm able to use that for, you know, spiritual things, you know, to meditate on a concept or meditate on the Bible, or just spend time meditating on a song, or just meditating on something like after the governor's prayer breakfast. I was like on this spiritual high. So having worked on that meditation skill with that Headspace app, I was able to sit and meditate on all the good things that God did during the governor's prayer breakfast talk. And so just this week, Sunday and Monday, I was able to spend some time, short meditation time, just thinking about how good it was this weekend on the water with my brother doing the kayaking. And you can place yourself at that scene and you just kind of remember what it's like. We went hiking in Colorado with some friends, that if I'm stressed, I'll think back on. I can remember those funny, to me they're funny looking trees. They were like these white aspen type trees that I can remember just so vivid, the look, the smell, like what it was like, and to kind of calm down and think about.
It's good.
What about you?
So one of the things I'll do is, instead of coming to work and listening to news talk or sports talk, and especially after work, instead of putting on like a political news show on the radio, I just keep the radio off.
Yeah.
It's pretty much silent. And I'll allow the silence to, just get ready. Just that's one thing I'll do. If I am listening to something, like this morning I listened to that podcast I was telling you about. So I just try to fill myself with truth. I think that the gratitude exercise has been good. We talked about it last week, and we're challenging ourselves to do it for the next week. But really just try to see what could I be grateful for in this. Like whether it's having to get up early and take care of the kids, or going to, it's like things you can be resentful towards. I can delight in what's true. I can be grateful for what's true. I think that really helps with experiencing God. I do walk outside. I don't know if it's to experience God, but just to get out of that little concrete jungle that you're in.
Yeah.
You're just in a little office in front of a computer, working on things, typing up things, and I love being outside. And we're getting close to where it's gonna be too hot to go outside, so that's something I do. I could do a better job of, just taking 2-3 minutes, every couple hours, and just say, Lord, reconnect me to you. Lord, that's something I don't do a good job. Lead me to still waters. He said something that was interesting. He said, the guy in this podcast, when he takes out that lawn chair, he's out there, sitting down, reading his Bible. He's like, I have a physical Bible. I got 3 or 4 Bibles on my phone, but it's like I turn on my phone to read the Bible and I'm getting pinged and emails and texts. It's like you want that physical Bible where you can just sit there and look at it and not be distracted. So I've enjoyed physical books, but that was a great explanation, especially when you're trying to read the Word. It's like you want to have it, a physical Bible to spend time with. So I'm going to try to bring a Bible to work so I can do that periodically. So I need lifelines throughout my day that I don't have a discipline to go to those lifelines periodically. I just go to work and I'll drive back, and I'm pretty depleted when I get home. So I think the micro practices was good to hear, and it's encouraging to hear a guy like John Eldredge is struggling just like you and I are, So, but I know you got a firm stop here at an hour. So, any closing thoughts?
No, I agree with baking in those little things. Like we go to the silent retreat, which we can talk about another time, where you basically take a weekend away to unplug and just be quiet. That has been helpful training grounds. They had a guy that came and spoke to us one time, and he spoke heavily on meditation and meditating on scripture and guided meditation, and like all those are, and like that Headspace app, they're all useful tools that I think you can use to reconnect with God. But I do think your comment of, Lord, lead me to still waters. Lord, help me to reconnect to you. Lord, help me to be in better tune with you. That's a prayer that, of course, He's going to answer.
Sure.
That's what, So I think all that's good, and I think it's a good, healthy challenge to try to be more mindful of that and not just get caught up in the hustle and bustle of everything.
Yeah, and I think you feel, man, you know, like you spend 2 hours praying and reading the word. You're like, man, all I have is 30 minutes today. It's like sometimes you have this, you feel very defeated because you see other people that appear to be walking closer to God and doing more things, and you're like, man, I have very little margin. Now, you have more margin than you think, but I think just
Sure.
starting small and just building on that is key. So, all right, man. Well, I know you got to go.